I want to thank my friend, Ambassador Ronald Lauder, for his steadfast leadership and his extraordinary commitment to the cause of Jewish unity and security. As you all know, under his leadership, the World Jewish Congress has carried forward Theodore Herzl's vision, not only of a Jewish homeland, but of a Jewish people, strong, self-reliant, and respected among nations. It is deeply humbling for me to receive the Theodore Herzl Award from the World Jewish Congress, an organization that for generations has stood as the diplomatic voice and moral conscience of the Jewish people across the globe. You have defended Jewish communities in every corner of the world, fought anti-Semitism in every form, and strengthened the unbreakable bonds between Israel and the global community of free nations. We are currently about 6 weeks away from Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, which reminds us of the enduring miracle of Jewish perseverance. And it is fitting at this time of year to reflect on Theodore Herzl's own miracle, the miracle of a vision so strong and so powerful, it can start a movement that changes the trajectory of the world. Herzl saw the battlefield before anyone else did. He understood that the Jewish people could no longer rely on the goodwill of others. They needed self-determination. They needed a Jewish nation and the strength to defend it. That miracle of foresight, courage, and conviction defines Herzl's legacy. And it is a spirit that this organization, the World Jewish Congress, embodies every single day. Being a fighter in the spirit of Herzl requires both courage and vision, the ability to see intuitively where the next battlefield lies and then take up the fight, much like Ambassador Lauder outlined today. For many years, my battlefield has been in Congress, where I have fought tirelessly to combat anti-Semitism and strengthen the U.S.-Israel alliance. I am proud to be one of the foremost champions of the Jewish people in the United States Congress, ensuring Israel's right to defend herself and fiercely opposing efforts by some of my colleagues to undermine it. Thank you. Over the last 2 years, I have spent countless hours with the family members of the hostages and have fought tirelessly to make sure they were brought home. And I want to take a minute this evening to remember two very important heroes of New York and of the Jewish people, Omer Nutra and Itai Ken. Omer and Itai were both murdered on October 7th and their bodies taken hostage into Gaza. Many of us got to know their families, got to know the families of both the living and deceased hostages, and we held our breath and advocated for 2 years working for their return. Because of the tireless efforts of President Trump and the administration, these hostages were returned home and were laid to rest this past week. We continue to pray for the 5 remaining hostages to be returned to Israel and their families. A few years ago, I realized that there was another front in the battle, a battlefield that we were losing, and one much closer to home. University campuses where we saw a scourge and a skyrocketing of anti-Semitism after Hamas's terrorist attacks on October 7th. And I will never forget that congressional hearing. Let me ask you, raise your hands, did you see that congressional hearing? Every hand went up. And it was a simple question that I asked. It was the last question of the hearing, and I actually didn't prepare to ask this question. I thought to myself, how can I ask this in the most simple, straightforward way? And this was asked to the presidents of MIT, Penn, and Harvard. And that question was this. It was not a political question, it was a moral one. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate your university's code of conduct? I expected them to say yes. But one after another said, it depends on the context. And the world heard. Let me be clear, it does not depend on the context. That hearing set off a global reckoning and delivered accountability in higher education that we are still just beginning. This seminal moment revealed a moral and an academic rot at the heart of our most elite institutions, a rot that fuels anti-Semitism while pretending to champion inclusion. And because of that hearing and subsequent ones, many of these cowardly university presidents were forced to resign. And that was only the beginning. Our work is ongoing, and we are exposing the truth about how anti-Semitism has been normalized and institutionalized in American higher education. We will not stop, I will not stop until accountability is real and until every Jewish student in this country can walk across campus without fear. And that fight continues, and as I look around my beloved home state, I know there is another battlefield that now demands our focus, the one closest to home, right here in New York. Today, New York is not just a city and state in crisis, it is the epicenter for the battle for the very Western civilization values that have shaped America. The fight for democracy, for capitalism, for the dignity of work, for the belief that through effort and perseverance, anyone can achieve the American dream. That fight now runs straight through our streets, our schools, our communities, and our city halls. These are the values that made the United States the greatest force for freedom in human history, and these are the very values now threatened. 80 years after Kristallnacht, when dangerous anti-Semitic figures spew hatred toward the Jewish people and justify terror, I will not stay silent. I will call it what it is: anti-Semitism, bigotry, Jew hatred, and anti-Americanism. This moral fight is particularly important in New York, the beloved home to more Jews than anywhere outside of Israel, where anti-Semitic incidents hit an all-time high last year, the highest count in the nation. And the day after this recent election, a swastika was painted outside of a yeshiva in Brooklyn. New Yorkers deserve a leader who will always stand up unequivocally and say, "Not on my watch." My friends, Theodore Herzl's story Theodore Herzl's story is not ancient history. It is a timeless reminder of what one person's courage and foresight can do to change the course of history. That is the spirit I see in this room tonight, the spirit that built Israel, the spirit that has always animated the Jewish people, and the spirit that must save New York and the United States of America. So to the World Jewish Congress, to Ambassador Lauder, and to all who carry forward Herzl's vision, thank you for this honor, thank you for your courage, and thank you for reminding us that light, truth, and freedom will never be extinguished, not in Israel, not in America, and not in the great state of New York. Thank you. God bless you. God bless New York and the United States of America. Thank you very much.